Hey.
Are you ready? The sound heard around the world. Coming to you from the Badger's Den in Mount Vernon, Ohio. This is Four Pillar Podcast with Matt, the Honey Badger, Goddard Meyer, and Ian, Vanilla Gorilla, Lashley.
Welcome back to the Four Pillar Podcast. We have Matt, the Honey Badger, Goddard Meyer, and Ian, the Vanilla Gorilla. And here we're talking about AI today and just AI in general. We want to get and dive into some stuff about what are our thoughts on AI, especially Matt's thoughts on AI. And should you use it? Should you not use it? And if you do, like, what should you do with it?
I didn't, AI, you've heard about it coming for a long time, right? But up until recently, I mean, first you told me about what what is it? GPT?
Yeah, Chat GPT is.
And what its capabilities are and what people use it for. AI was always this thing that was always in the future, right? Like by now we were supposed to be all flying around in jetpacks, but that never really happened. But like this AI thing, I mean, it's here.
Well, what's the one kids movie where it has like the people in scooters, and remember they're like they like transform, like all their bones become like whatever, and they become like fat little roly-poly things.
I don't think I've seen that movie. It's a kids movie.
Well, it's like
the movie.
No, it's like an anime. It's like a. I think it's geared towards kids. I can't remember what that's called. I wish my wife was here. She would know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna Google this,
okay.
but regardless, the whole premise of the movie is like, I'm doing this injustice. I'm just gonna stop. But essentially, it's like they get like AI is taken over, like the robots like do everything for them. So like human macro evolution. I think I'm saying right, macro evolution or whatever. Like they become, their legs gotta get really short, and they all are fat and can't walk and do everything for them, and like stuff like that. And there's like a whole movie about them. I think it's basically they try to reverse everything essentially and start going
because they realize that it's like ruined.
Right, it's ruined civilization. Yeah, is that what you think about when you think of AI? You think of AI?
Well, I don't care, and because I'm not up on a lot of stuff technologically. I don't know a whole lot about it, but this chat GPT in what you showed me, and you can tell me if I got this wrong, but it's basically like, okay, well, we have this thing now, and people don't ever have to read, write, or think for themselves ever again. Which, right. I mean, I guess, I feel like the defense for that is going to be, well, it's going to make things so much easier, which is everything in our society right now. Everybody wants everything to be easier, more convenient, happen on the spot. If you have people who aren't reading, writing, and thinking anymore, we're kind of in trouble, right? I mean, at least, I don't know maybe not trouble, but I mean, it's not going to make us any smarter as a species. Right?
I am for AI. I think I agree with you. I think everybody wants like everything to be super easy, and they just want to do everything with no pain, whatever thing. Like it needs to be whatever. And that is a big problem. I think AI can be effective though if it's used to increase efficiency, not necessarily make things easier on you. I think there's a difference between doing something more efficient or being efficient at things, and then per se taking all your capability, taking your capabilities away.
Okay, when you say efficiently, I feel like is that from a business standpoint?
Yeah, it would probably be more
I'm thinking of it in a human standpoint. Right?
You're so more like, well, so one thing I would maybe say about that is, well, for an example, like I was doing a video or research on a video about intermittent fasting, right? I mean, like I know a lot about intermittent fasting, but I was like, okay, I want to have more facts or data exactly where it comes from, and different options and stuff like that. So, for example, I use Chat GPT. I jump on there and go, tell me about intermittent fasting, right? The science behind intermittent fasting. And it broke down this whole big thing about, the different types of intermittent fasting, the 8 hours eating, the rest of 16 hours off, and it had different options. And then I was like, well, I want all this information to be cited so I know where it comes from. So it's just not, Joe Blow that works at Pizza Hut didn't write all this or, think of all this information. So it's like Harvard Health, links an article, like whatever, Forbes, Harvard Health, something else, and gave an article. And one of them was a science study with case studies and everything. And so like for me to find that information, like without that doing it for me, that would have took me hours, right? Or maybe not even hours, but it's going to probably take me a good 30, 45 minutes to try to Google case studies. Which one case study should I look at? Which one actually makes sense for the information I want to find? What, a reputable source that did research on what intermittent fasting is. But like I told this thing and it found that in 60 seconds for me. Right. It pulled up, here's a Harvard Health, article that has all this stuff.
And does everything come cited or did you have to request that?
I requested it to cite the information where I got it from.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you just do it without that, do you know where that information's coming from? Right. Because I feel like you could ask, I don't know, 10 doctors or scientists or trainers even, like, tell us about intermittent fasting. They wouldn't all say exactly the same thing. Right. So, I guess it's the same thing anytime you just Google anything on your own.
Yeah. So, so the one thing with ChatGPT, I can't remember unless they've updated it. It was everything prior to the end of 2022, like basically to the beginning of time that's on the internet. So if it was basically, if it's on the internet or put out, which basically everything is, it has access to all that information.
But what does it choose?
Well, that's right. You don't really know sometimes. Right. Yeah. And that's where I agree with you as well. But you could also, like I said, you could ask it to cite it or pull, where can you get actual information about this stuff from somewhere, essentially.
Yeah. I guess I can see the part where, like you're using for an example, research. It was super convenient. My thing is just what's wrong with doing things. I don't know. At what point are people using this for writing, I don't know, maybe their wedding vows or their school paper or their, where they're just losing their ability to think for themselves about anything.
Right.
If we get text messages, you see social media posts. So, like, we are losing, our ability to even write proper English, right? There's people who've graduated high school that don't know the difference between there, and there, or your and your, like, because everything, part of it is because we text now with this partially abbreviated and it's slang and it's, and now this thing comes along and, it's just one more thing that people don't have to work on or be, proficient in or anything like that.
Right.
It's something that, God gave us the ability to think for ourselves. Right. I think about it that way. It kind of makes you less human. Right. If this is something you're using all the time.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I would ask you as well too, what do you think you need to be more proficient in?
I just think, like, let's say, are you asking me personally?
Well, just like for
if a kid has to write something for school, right? I guess they're probably already using Google, right?
Well, do you know how I wrote some, like 90% of my papers when I was in high school?
Was even the internet even a thing when you were in high
school?
Well,
yeah, the internet was. I'm not that old, Matt.
Okay. It wasn't when I was in high school.
Yeah. Well, right. Yeah, you had to actually
write things on tablets and chisel them out of stone and everything.
When Jesus walked with the dinosaurs.
How did you do your book reports?
I would basically go on Google and copy and paste Wikipedia, which probably shouldn't say that, but it is what it is. It's in the past, so
right.
I wouldn't recommend kids to maybe do that. But so like I guess for an example though, I thought about this is like we have access to that information to have information easier. Some stuff obviously I think you need to know, like you need to know how to speak and write language. That's pretty common everyday things you're going to have to do. But if you're asking me to write a paper on a Pythagorean theory, when am I going to use the Pythagorean theory?
Well,
And if I did need to use it, I would just go look up how to use it. I wouldn't just memorize how to do the Pythagorean theorem and just have that in
well,
my
right now
head.
I don't think you need to know how to do that, right? And I
Right.
couldn't answer the question of why we had to learn it in algebra or whatever when we were sophomores. But part of that might have just been learning how to write,
Oh,
right? It wasn't so much that you learned what the Pythagorean theorem was.
what was it, math class?
Okay, well, I thought you just said you
Which,
had to write about it or something.
well, there's question. Obviously, well, then you start. Okay, it's like, yeah. Well, my next question is, why was my math teacher having me write a paper on Pythagorean theorem?
Well,
And
you could
I
name a
have no
lot of
idea.
things we ended up having
Well,
to learn. Do you ever
right?
use a periodic table? I
No.
don't, right?
Right.
Um,
But do you have it memorized?
no,
Well, I mean, right. There's no point to memorize it unless you're going to use it every single day. But if I needed the periodic table, I would
right?
just
There
go
is a certain
Google it.
amount of math we use every day.
Right.
Probably doesn't go up to algebra, not at least in our
No,
lives. Um, it's probably important to know U.S. history,
that is very important.
science. I mean,
It's debatable.
do we use it? I mean, I don't know. Is it interesting to some people? Yeah.
Right.
History is more important to me than chemistry or biology or whatever. I don't, I mean, that's a whole different conversation of the American school system or the public school
Oh, right.
system, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Um, I just think there's something incredibly important about being able to read, write, and think.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, I'm
Um,
not disagreeing with you on those things. I mean, I I think the big problem is I had a business mentor tell me one of the most important things that anybody can actually learn how to do is learn how to think, because a lot of people can't do it or won't do it, and that can solve a lot of problems or issues if you can just think.
right. So I think, let's just say any paper you had to write, and I'm not trying to be the grumpy old man here, but, um,
You're not a grumpy old man.
well, I mean, that's what I am, but, um, right. It wasn't even so much what you were writing about, but just learning how to do that.
Yeah,
Right.
you're,
And
you're
you
saying the
had,
thought process of putting together like a paper
yeah. And
is
I
what
mean,
is
I
what you're
know that
saying.
there's stuff, I mean, um, an intro paragraph and a conclusion at the end and the body. Like, I'm not even talking about that so much, but just being able to come up with ideas, put thoughts together, say something for yourself that's original, interesting, not just something you know, literally cut and pasted and put onto it, but like you didn't even like plagiarize it in any way. Right now, maybe some of the ideas are going to be the same, but you wrote it, right?
Right.
Um, being a, I mean, that's something you can, you know, carry into the rest of your life, and they might not be a big deal, but like, I read your best man speech at your wedding.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
were my words, right? They came from me. I didn't get it from anywhere else. I've done 4 eulogies. I've spoken at the high school. I met you speaking in front of Chamber of Commerce,
Right. Well,
right?
why I'm right.
Well, when I was at the Y, but we were all in front of the Chamber
Oh,
of
right.
Commerce that
Yes.
day.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Um, like I guess maybe I should just, for myself, um, that's something that's important to me, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, and like the other thing I said, it's definitely not going to make us smarter, right? It may
Well,
make
it depends
things
on how
more
you
convenient,
depends
make
on how you
things
use. Well, yeah. Right. It's not. It physically can't make you smarter, but it can make you more convenient for you to become smarter.
from the knowledge you can learn from the things that, okay, that's
Right.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. Um,
But you but
but
you
I guess
you
kind of
still you still have to, like, right, even like I told you, the whole intermittent fasting, right? I could do that, and if I don't actually read any of it, then it's not making me smarter on the topic.
true, true. And then maybe this is a different conversation too, but it's like you said with the movie you were trying to describe in the
Which I
beginning.
which I found it.
Okay,
It's
good.
which I can't believe I remember this. Wally, the
The
Disney movie,
animated
yeah,
Pixar
Disney
movie.
movie.
I've never
Yeah.
seen that.
I seen it like a long time ago, but just real quick, like a summary of like what it's about or whatever. The future, the future sum of us are happily heading towards comfort and obesity in space, taken from the animated film Wall-E, property of Pixar. Oh, it's not Disney, it's Pixar. Now, it's now streaming on Disney Plus. That's kind of
What does it say about
interesting.
obesity?
Well, it says. Well, let me like pull up the whole description of what the movie is. Here, this is the better description. Um, a vacationing family discovers that a secluded beach where they're relaxing for a few hours is somehow causing them to. No, that's not. That's old. Never mind. That's a completely wrong movie. Okay, I'm not doing this any
Okay,
justice
but
here
people aren't.
again.
They're not moving and do anything anymore
right, right,
because AI is taking care of everything.
right. Yeah, it's Wally.
Right. So that's kind of a
Have
dystopian
you
look at
seen
the
the old
future.
movie? And that's complete rabbit trail. The old movie.
Wally?
No, old the movie.
No, I'm
Okay,
not.
it's
I'm not in
okay.
some movie. Like I didn't watch every single one of them with the kids. Like
Yeah.
there, I've seen some Pixar movies, and it's like the same thing. If I could give you a pill, right, and you could just have, you know, the perfect body
Uh huh.
without doing any of the work, or if I could give anyone that pill, right, most people would do it, right?
Right.
But there's something to say about actually going through that process and doing it yourself, putting the work in, going through that pain, the struggle, all that stuff. And I, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Right,
And
because if you don't actually have that right discomfort or pain, there's like your reward system or stuff. It doesn't right. It doesn't work the same. That's where like for an example, you see the people that win the lottery, right, and then they're broke after a year because they have no discipline built. Well, that same pill, right? So that's actually a very good maybe analogy as well too. I would guarantee you probably 99% of the people that took the pill, if it magically made them in really good shape, they would be obese again within 12 months.
true. What if it was a pill that just it was a one time boom?
And it permanently fixed you,
Yeah,
like no matter what, you couldn't
yeah.
lose it. Um, right. Yeah. I mean, same thing regardless. I would say, obviously, if you couldn't lose it, I guess, it would still hurt your reward system of like, right, you put all the work, the discipline, the effort into accomplishing that. The one thing I was thinking was like, for example, people get the stomach surgery or the what
Guess
gastro bypass
yeah.
thing or whatever that makes them lose weight. Now, if you look at a lot of those people, I know a couple of people off the top of my head, obviously that I remember got them that Kelly and I know of that they get the surgery, they lose like 80 pounds, and then
But then there's work after that that has to continue to.
right, but then you flash forward a year later, they gained all the weight back and then some because right, it's like taking that pill that fixes something, but it fixed it without any pain or discomfort, discipline, learning how to do stuff, and so you have to learn that, right? It's like with people, like I said, that win the lottery. You go win the lottery, they're broke within a year because they don't understand the financial discipline of stewardship of their money, how to actually make more money, how to invest their money, not just spend. Yeah, right. There's a lot of things that go into that, and the reason they become broke because they haven't went through all those learning experiences and growth to actually be able to manage that kind of financial sustenance.
Right. So that whole thing about taking a pill to change yourself physically, that's kind of how I feel about.
With AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wally is a 2008 animated science fiction film produced by Pixar Animation Studios and released by Walt Disney Pictures. Directed by Andrew Stanton, the film is set in a distant future time where humanity was abandoned Earth due to overwhelming pollution and environment negligence. The story follows Wally, waste allocated load, life, Earth class, some robot thing, the last operating robot on Earth who has developed spends his days compacting trash and collecting various objects of interest. Despite being alone, Wally is curious and has a personal. This is not describing the movie of what I was trying to get at. essentially they all they're on like mopeds or whatever. And they go around because like the Earth is like become where they're essentially lazy because the technology does everything for them.
And you said their limbs are like stubs now because they never use them and they're all fat and
Right. I can show you a picture of it. It's like this guy right here. So it is Wally, but like basically they
yeah, I know what
you know what
Wally's a
movie I'm
robot,
talking
right?
about. But yeah, but basically everybody gets in like this whole comfort thing and how obesity and comfort and it's turned into a kids movie. It's a really good movie. But yeah, but it's basically about that robot that goes around. But I think he makes it back to Earth or a planet or wherever the spaceship is, where people are floating around and everything's taken care of for them and stuff. And it basically shows like basically kind of what you said what happens when everybody's wants to be comfortable all the time and eat French fries and drink milkshakes.
And then at that point, it's to me, it's like if everything in your life was perfect and just the way you wanted it, and you just got to just, I don't know, like this, like just sit there and I don't know, watch Netflix and eat whatever you want. Like, what is that an enjoyable life? Like,
Well,
tell me.
no,
I mean, but I think some people think it would be, right?
right.
But the struggle, right? Like, you leading up to your last fight, right? Do you love the process that goes into everything before you step in that cage, or
I
do you
mean,
hate it?
well, right. I do enjoy training. So I mean,
Right, because you love the sport,
right,
right? It's not
yeah,
just you want to go in and get your hand raised because of everything that's going to come along with it. You love the process, you love the sport, you love
right.
everything that comes with it, right? Some people,
Well, I think with some things like that, for an example, the right you can't cut the work. I think with all sports, right, you can't cut the work, and if you do, it shows. I think that's like one of the things that's so impressive about, or I think why people like, gravitate towards sports in general is because like if you cut the work or don't do the full work, like it's going to show, right? As we're
it's going to show in anything,
well, eventually, but sports it stands out real
right?
fast, right?
Well, if you're some kind of, if you have to speak in front of someone, or if you're a, I don't know, maybe an academic, or, you know, there's something, the work is reading, researching all the case studies, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
instead of just pulling something up and just saying, I'm just going to say what this thing says here. Right. You could
Well,
end up looking like,
the thing I was going to say was, well, right. I guess if you say like AI, that for an example, but I could use AI to help me tell me what to eat and how to work out and stuff
well,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think you showed me that once.
Well, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
What's something cool I'm doing for the gym as well. I'm actually going to put on our website. I'm actually having our own like little. Well, I kind of jokingly put it as I remember I called it like Roberto or something. The robot like Lashley Training Center's robot. But I am like kind of programming our own little AI thing that I'm going to put on our website that people can actually ask like 24/7 questions for fitness or nutrition, and it'll be able to answer like everything for you essentially. And I'm actually putting it in there as well too. So like if somebody says, okay, like I want to book a personal training session, right at the gym or whatever, how can I get personal training? It actually customize like will pull like automatically pull all the information from the gym and like answer questions for support like on our website. And so it could even be like, okay, um, or it could be like if you're asking a bunch of like how to lose weight, right? Or like certain diets or macros, whatever. It could be like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and send you Matt's phone number, and like boom, puts your phone number to the person, says to contact them for a nutrition consult or stuff like that.
Okay. But you said anybody, member or non-member,
Yeah,
from anyone, they can get on your website and say, I don't know, give me a workout plan, tell me my macros, and it gives them that info, and they're like, well, I don't need Lashley's. I got everything right here. I'm just going to go do it on my own.
I hope somebody does do that.
Okay.
So we're making people healthier.
I understand.
Well, but still, if somebody does that, right? Though, if you're talking about success, they regardless if they go on and tell a robot to write them a workout plan, if they don't go do the workout plan, it doesn't do them any good.
Well, right. And I don't mean this in a sense of like, oh,
Yeah,
you're losing business or something like
right,
that. I get that point from a business. You can get on here, you can find out about Riley or what we offer here,
right.
book something, whatever. Um, I'm just, I guess the grumpy person in me I just don't like it. Right.
Yeah,
I like everything the way, you know, I'm not talking about going through the entire history of the world, but the way things used to be. Um, but you've brought up some things that make sense, especially
Yeah,
from a business point of view.
yeah. And I use it mainly for business standpoint as well too. I guess I don't like. I mean, yeah, I guess there's a fine line as far as like where you start being like. I mean, me joking this, and obviously, I actually legitimately did do this, but I was like, give me 10 recommendations for gifts for my wife.
For Christmas or an anniversary
Yeah,
or
just
something.
stuff like that. So I mean, like, kind of like jokingly, like I just want to see what it said or whatever. But maybe I will use one or two of those ideas.
Did you?
Maybe I said maybe I will. You know, like,
What were some of them? Just out of
I can't
curiosity.
remember. I'd have to go back. I mean, some of it was like generic. It's like, oh well,
Flowers and chocolate and that
yeah.
kind of.
Find out. And it's like find out what's your wife's favorite or your birthstone or something, and get that whatever. And I mean, there's some stuff that was actually kind of cool, like recommendations or whatever. But I'm right. But I mean, like when you start getting to that or whatever, it's like, okay, write me a love note for my wife or something, right? And I mean, it could be questionable of like how personable that actually is or whatever.
Right.
But
Right.
um, I actually do use the proofread stuff now. I think that's something that's very effective because you got to think, right? If I Well, that's what I talk about too. I guess for efficiency, right? I'm not saying for to do everything for you or make it easier, like completely easier. But if I have to have somebody proofread something like an ad I write for the gym, right? Like if I ask you to proofread it, it's taking away time for you to be doing something else, right? Well, I guess this all comes back to business as well too. But right, I can send it to this robot and it proofreads it in like 30 seconds. Here's the grammatical errors. Here's these errors. Do you want me to fix this for you? And you say yes or no. You put yes, and it retypes everything and fixes your grammatical errors. So, I mean, right, it could take you, 10, 15 minutes to make sure you're getting everything, as where this thing has it quotations by book perfect within, 20 seconds.
Yeah. But to me, it's like just humans should be doing these things. That's why we're,
Yeah.
but to each their own, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
But AI it is a very interesting topic. As well, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, have you seen iRobot? Like Will Smith
no,
with Will Smith, whatever. I mean, that stuff does come in, like again, kind of like in the fantasy side of stuff. Like, how far would it go? Like, what can you use it for?
robots getting a conscious and becoming self-realized and all that kind of crap. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. But no, I do agree with. I do agree with. I'm not completely disputing that it's the ultimate thing, and everybody has to use it or should use it for everything in their life. I think, like you said, I think the pill thing that you brought up is a very good look at stuff. Is some stuff you can't take shortcuts on, and there's stuff in life that you still need to know, skills you need to develop, and things that need to be done personally, and that you can't, regardless of no amount of technology or artificial intelligence can't substitute certain things in our lives. It's just not possible.
yeah. And I mean, the struggle of life is also, again, going back to the human part. I mean, that's what life is, right?
Right.
So when
Well,
I bring up,
even God tells us that in the Bible. That, I mean, since the
well,
beginning,
right,
when sin
that's where,
happened, we're gonna struggle.
and we're going to suffer, and this whole idea where I'm going to take this pill and this machine's going to do all my work for me, and I'm just going to sit here and do nothing. Like that's not a life,
It's
right?
not, no.
Right? Taking up, for, I don't know how to say this. Um, I think if you took the struggle and the challenge and stuff like that out of people's lives, like they think they want, they'd be
Mhm.
very disappointed, right?
I would bet so as
They
well
don't think
too.
so, or they don't know it, but um, like I don't.
Because that's what makes them as a person, or makes them the situation. I mean, even in your whole entire life right now, the person you are right now is because of whatever happened to you in the past, and the obstacles you overcome, and the things you learned, and items so on like that. If not, you essentially are a vegetable, right?
I mean, kind of, yeah,
Oh, I mean, maybe not a complete vegetable, but pretty close to a vegetable.
yeah, and then and there's no, like couple. It was last Sunday. Lisa and I were all excited, like no basketball games, no cheer, no I mean, it was just like, we have nothing to do today,
Right.
right? We went to the gym, we worked out, we came home. By 6, 7 o'clock, we were both looking at each other like, all we've been doing is sitting around all day. Like, this sucks,
Yeah.
right? We're always like, because we weren't doing anything.
Right.
It's not nice enough to do anything out in the yard yet. There was nothing going on with the kids. We were like, oh, we're just going to sit here, read, watch movies, whatever. And I mean, I think that's what people think their ideal life would be. And maybe for some people it is. I don't
And
know.
it all comes down to, you're saying, to bringing in like AI. Essentially, there, you can try to achieve that by having this thing basically do all your
Well, and then
work
where
for
I
you.
don't know. This AI stuff's never going to stop, right? They've already
It's going to keep developing more.
right.
Cars
I
will drive
mean,
themselves.
I hear people talk. I mean, people that check people out at the grocery store, that's going to be an obsolete job. It's just all going to be machines, like some of them are now.
Right.
Some drive-throughs don't have people anymore. You order it on a
Oh yeah.
screen.
So yeah.
Sometimes I heard you go into McDonald's, they don't even have people back there. You just do it on a screen,
Yeah, you do it on it's like a big
right?
tablet thing.
They'll completely at some point probably take people out of work in certain professions,
Oh, absolutely.
right? And I don't know, like what are we going for here? They're
Yeah.
just robots and machines and AIs to do everything so we can what? Just sit on a beach somewhere for the rest of our lives? I mean, what I don't know
Well, that's a
what the idea
yeah.
behind that is. I don't know.
Yeah, I've always heard as well too. Like if you don't, which I think I think you see this with certain people as well. If you don't create problems or have problems to deal with, or whatever, your brain, you start like you say good problems, you start creating bad problems, or you see that people like self sabotage themselves because they actually don't have anything to do, or they blow things out of proportion because they don't have anything, or like we're
Well,
made to
that's
solve
sometimes where drama
problems.
comes from.
Right, correct, or drama.
Yeah, and I mean, for business owners, it's
It's
a way
great. I
they can get
absolutely,
away with payroll. And then there's got to be people that take care of these machines, and that's a job too. But it's
yeah.
like,
Well, for business, I have to say, for AI, like I obviously I think it's super nice, right? I can cut down on workloads and makes things more efficient, and be more efficient with my time with stuff. So I highly kind of, I'm for AI essentially. It's to some extent, right? I mean, like you said, I don't disagree with, like, there's stuff that you have to know and you need to know and can't always substitute, but it definitely can make you have a more efficient life, so you can do well. And I guess bringing to your other point too, you said, well, what do you do, right? I think that's actually a really good question, because, for an example, if my thing is like I'm going to use it to help me proofread all my ads or whatever, right, whatever else I'm doing that day for work, I'm doing that maybe so I can spend another hour with my daughter to go play outside, and versus maybe 20 years ago I manually would have had to have done that or those things, and so now I'm not getting to do certain other things. I think regardless of how AI develops, I think it comes down to your priorities, your moral compass, and everything. Because yeah, you could essentially, like, quotations, I guess, get AI to the point to where you could sit on the couch and eat potato chips. But if for example, just my objective of it is to make things more efficient so I can go do something else
I get that.
that isn't necessarily sitting on the couch, sitting on the couch kind of thing.
But I understand that part where it's a matter of spending time with family. Um, I'm
Or even extra. I mean, it could be anything, right? It could be
well, right,
I'm go
but
work out
nothing's
for
more
another hour,
important.
right?
Um, there's pros and cons to
There
it,
is, there is,
just
like
like
it's
anything else, I
just like
suppose.
anything. So let's for our final thoughts here, let's summarize your thoughts on AI. If you think someone should use it, not use it, partially use it, or
I
whatever your final thoughts are.
it's
Or
kind
if, let's, I guess, and to not say like we want to tell people what to do or whatever, but actually, like, what, like, your thoughts, like, I would use it or not use it or do this or
I don't care, right?
yeah.
It's like when I go into Verizon and the person's asking me questions and they're
Don't get me
like,
started on
"Hey,
Verizon.
is this the Turbo 5000 version of?" I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, do you download onto the cloud? Like, I don't know what the cloud is. Like, I and there's always this smugness, right?
Right.
And it's like, do you think that hurts me that I don't know what this stuff is? I don't care. I don't want to know any of this stuff.
Yeah. I was ready to
I
ask you, does it hurt you?
no. If they think
I'm
they're
just
making fun of
curious.
me because I don't know things about iPhones or technology, like I don't care. Right? I don't. So, um, same with this thing. Like I don't know that I'll ever use it.
Yeah.
Now, do I think you should or that person should?
Well,
I
I'm not
guess
asking you to tell what other people should do. I'm just
yeah.
asking for like your summary of what your final thoughts on it. I'm not saying you tell somebody else what to do, but just your
No,
thoughts.
I'd rather read the book to find out what it is than just get the summary of it. I'd rather um, put in the work to have a jujitsu match than just be able to take it. I mean, like when I took up chess, like it wasn't like I was pissed. I'm not good at this right away. Like I like that. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to be good at this. I'm going to figure out how to play this game, and sucking at it is part of that, right?
Absolutely.
Losing to my 12-year-old son is part of that,
Right. All right.
right? As shitty as that is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, like I like all that, right? Some like,
Well, that's a good point too. Like, right, if they made it so AI could like analyze your chess game, right, and tell you this exact move to do every single time to make
yeah.
sure you never lost, like,
And some people are
what's
like,
the
yeah,
what's the
dude,
point
I'm
of it?
undefeated. I can't be beat. Like, you're not learning anything.
Right.
So what? Your record might be this. It's like, it's kind of the way I feel about steroids. If you
Yeah.
have to win, if you have to do that to win, then who cares? Right? I'd rather go in knowing and lose, but knowing I did that 100% myself, right? Without any kind of aid or crutch of any kind. Um, I think that's kind of that's life,
Yeah.
you know.
That was good.
Thanks. What's your final take on it?
My final take is, I second what Matt says, but obviously I'm a different standpoint a little bit as far as I think I think people should use it, especially obviously since I'm a business owner, I have a little bit different perspective on it as well. I think you can use it to maybe really make things efficient in your life, and I think you should should take it to use, make stuff more efficiently, and I think your perspective on what your priorities are, your moral compass, how you conduct your life, your discipline, and just what you're doing on a daily basis needs to be. You need to have that anchored of what you stand for and what you believe in and all that stuff, because regardless of whatever you do, like you could use this to have more time or less time or use it badly. But if you use it to do good stuff or be more efficient at things, you can get more done that way and maybe spend more time with your family or spend more time with your church or exercise more, do stuff that continually builds you up and pushes you farther along. So I think that's the biggest thing, is set your priorities and use it efficient, make your life more efficient, but do the stuff that still needs to be done on a daily basis, because it's like some stuff, it's not, regardless of with some things, for an example, like you said, if it's academics where you're going to have to deliver a speech on something or public speak or go compete, you can't cut corners because it'll show.
Right. And I guess I should have mentioned earlier that like I guess I don't have any situations, like you don't give me any work that's like, oh well, I can just have, right? So
Yeah.
I don't have, there's never been a time in my life when it's like, well, I could really use this and it would take an hour off my day and I can spend that on something else.
Right.
And maybe that's part of it too. So
Well, yeah, but that was good. That was good input on that. If you believe it, you can achieve it. And let us know your standpoint on AI. Leave a comment. Let us know. Tell us in the gym. If you see Matt at the gym or you have a cell phone number, text him, tell him he's old.
yes, I'm taking calls all night.
If you believe you can achieve it, we'll see you in the gym soon. Thanks for watching. Make sure you please hit the like, subscribe, or go to our brand new 4pillarpodcast.com. You can subscribe to our email listing and get automatic updates whenever we post a episode. Thank you for watching or listening.